cool. So we are back. Worst nightmare जो present करते हुए होता है, that happens. So okay. So first of all, good to be back in Ahmedabad. I think after 2 years, I'm coming back to Ahmedabad, and this is my second DevFest event this year. I spoke last month in DevFest Delhi, and a little bit about me. I'm Harshit. I have close to 9+ years of experience. I currently work as an FD3 at Intuit in Bengaluru, where I lead a small team of front-end engineers. Prior to that, I was working with SAP Labs and Make My Trip. I also run a group called Tech Referrals. So a lot of you might be interested in that. Basically, in short, it's a group where it runs on Twitter as well as Telegram, where I share referral opportunities. So if any one of you is looking for opportunities, this is the group that you should join. The QR code on the top has all my links as well as Tech Referrals links. So feel free to take a snap or just scan the QR code. But as you all already took a pulse of what's the experience level here. So one thing that I'm very happy about today is I'm getting to talk on something which is very close to my heart. Because when I started my career 9 years back, I used to write very shitty code, okay? And one of the the grateful things for me was that I worked in these three really awesome product companies, Intuit, SAP Labs, Make My Trip, where everywhere I had amazing mentors. And all my tech leads and everybody was so amazing. And most of the learnings that I got were from code reviews. And that is what I try to do at Intuit in my role currently. Even if I'm not working on a feature, what I try to do is I try to contribute via code reviews. At least I'm trying to give back to the team in a way that I got the support in the beginning of my career. And on a regular basis, I do make mistakes, even while doing code reviews. And sometime back, I tweeted this: "Mistakes you make at work could be title of your next talk," and that's what I'm doing today. So let's get into the meat of the talk. We'll start with what's the typical development process. So you're basically given a task, and you start with a low-level design. I think you do. Then what you do is, once you have the design in place, you start writing code. Then you finally raise a PR, and then the daunting thing starts happening. You have to, get it reviewed. So you put it up for review. Somebody reviews it. Maybe your manager, your tech lead, or your peer reviews it, and then they add review comments to it. Finally, you say, okay, I'm incorporating the comments. You incorporate those comments, and then it again goes back into the PR review. You say, hey, my PR is again up for review. And then the reviewer again adds few comments, right? You again go into the red zone. Then you again incorporate, and this goes on. One fine day, your PR is approved, you are happy, and finally the PR is merged. So this talk is basically on this loop. How do we ensure that this loop takes lesser and lesser time, and it's not a very scary experience or a it's a happy experience. You're not just fighting with each other, but actually you are working with empathy and you are having that effective code review process. So with that, I'll talk about this pull request paradox. So how many times it has happened that you went ahead and you said, hey, can you review my PR? And the guy says, hey, I'm busy. Because he's working on his own feature, right? I do a lot of code reviews, but almost always, I also have my own dev task. I also have to say something in the Scrum tomorrow, right? So how do I put that time up front, right? So this is a very nice article in the bottom. It talks about promoting your PR. So you can read that, but I'll not touch into the promoting your PR part. But just understand that there is a kind of a, you can say, conflict of interest, that everybody is working and everybody needs their PR to be reviewed. So with that, we'll go into the why do code reviews go wrong. First of all, author is lazy. PR ready nahi hai, but dal diya, review kar do. So basic things are missing and you just send it out for review. Author is doing too many things in the same PR. How many people have seen, एक महीने तक कोई काम कर रहा और फिर एकदम massive PR आती है 1000 लाइन की, कर दो review. अरे नहीं होगी यार review. तो they do too many things in a same PR. Okay. Reviewer, let's come to reviewer. Reviewer is extremely strict. He doesn't let your PR get merged unless it is, 24 karat gold. So the reviewer is extremely strict. And I was one of them, to be honest. Reviewer is extremely slow. You give him to, hey, can you review my PR? And he's, putting some comments in next 2 days. He just wakes up in the night, 1 a.m., he's just adding one comment. He's just extremely slow. And finally, he doesn't even have that context to review your PR, or he doesn't even have that technical competency to review your PR. So if any of these things are happening, your PR process goes for a toss. So coming to the crux of it, if you are in the PR author's shoes, what you should be doing to get your PR reviewed faster. So with that, I'll start with not recommended ways. So being active on Twitter, what I generally do is, Twitter is my venting ground. So whenever I have something like this, I just tweet about it. So last year I tweeted, hey, what should we not do to get our PR reviewed faster? And some of my friends tweeted, ping the reviewer every 5 minutes until they say looks good to me. So don't do that. On record, I'm saying don't do that. Then this Aditya is a friend of mine who works in Cred. And he said, hey, if I tag Kunal Shah, maybe I can get a faster review. Finally, put a gun on the reviewer's head and ask him to review and merge faster. So again, don't do this. Finally, coming to the good part, the part I'm recommending, how to get your PR reviewed faster. Discuss the design and approach before starting the code changes. You do not want that, hey, you put the PR out for review and then somebody says, hey, can you change the whole design, right? So it is super, super important if you think that your changes are, including some aspect of design, at least get it reviewed, write a design documentation, have that thing, that alignment beforehand. You don't want that to, go into loops. Then secondly, as I rightly pointed out before, break it down into multiple atomic PRs. This is super, super important, and I see even senior engineers struggling with this. Breaking your PRs into, atomic PRs is kind of something that you get into a habit, but what it, actually helps you with is that once you have an atomic PR, a small PR, it is doing just one thing. So anybody would have that incentive, hey, it will take 10 minutes to review this PR, I can review it. Versus if you have a big bang PR, which will take 2 hours to review, nobody is gonna, have that incentive to even touch it. So you'll have to actually have a gun on his head to get it reviewed. So having these small PRs is super, super important, and it comes with practice. It will not come from day one, it will come with practice. This is basic thing, add a detailed description. So you have a PR description, right? Add what you are doing, why you are doing, how you are doing. If you have created a design document, attach that design document here, have that Jira link there. So add all the details which will help the reviewer, have that required context. He should not be required to, call you, hey, what is actually this PR doing? Code changes, but kar kya raha hai? Right? Then in that itself, add a before-after screenshot, or if you think a video would help, just add a video. Another thing that I, last month I did is, I had a very complicated PR. And I thought, hey, it would be hard for people to review. So what I did is I actually recorded a video, not of the actual thing, but also of the code. So I did a code walkthrough in a video. I recorded a video, and I attached that. And it served 2 purposes. One, people were able to understand what's the code flow. I didn't have to sit with them. They were able to understand from that. And also, it was kind of a KT. Hey, at the end of the day, we have a collective responsibility. So they were able to, get that learnings from that video. And, a lot of people have started doing that after me. This is again super important. Review your own code before asking others. And almost 100% of the times when I do this, I see there will be some nitpicks, some variable name that can be improved, or some unit test that I can add, or something that you'll see. So once, before you send that message, hey, can you review this PR? Before that, just review it once. Scan through the code and review it once yourself. And while you are doing it, another thing that you should do is add info comments on that PR. This is, I know most of the people don't do this, and this really helps speed up the review process. Just put a info, I'm doing this because of this. just add info comments, which will be helpful. So you can actually comment yourself on your own PR, and whenever the actual reviewer is reviewing it, they'll go through those comments and they will have that right context. So in recap, discuss the design before starting the code changes, break down the feature into multiple PRs, add description about the what, why, and how, add the before and after screenshot, review your own changes before asking others, and finally, add info comments. Now, once you have done this and sent the PR for review, how do you address review comments, right? Very straightforward. If it's a valid suggestion, just fix it right away. It's okay. You got the comment, just fix it. But there will be times when you don't agree with the author. You would have, no, this is what I'm doing is right. What you're suggesting is not right. So be friendly about it. You are going to be exchanging shoes. Today it's your PR, tomorrow it's going to be his PR. So be friendly about it, discuss about them. And if it's still going back and forth, know that when is the right time to take the discussion offline. And this is very important. I've seen people fighting on PR comments, like hundreds of comments are running, and it's like, hey, you're saying this, that. So understand this, that, hey, if it's taking too long, just take it offline, schedule a meeting, right? And a lot of times, you and the reviewer might not come to a conclusion. And that is when it's the right time to kind of, maybe escalate, maybe have somebody who is, above you, maybe your manager, maybe some tech architect. Just take his help. Hey, what can we do? We have this impasse that we have reached, and we have different opinions. What can we do? So take their help. They're there to guide you. They're there to help you out. So take their help. One thing that I've realized is we don't take that much help from our seniors that we should. They are there for us. So take their help and try to resolve that conflict via their help. And then if a decision is not in your favor, be cool about it, right? Also, another thing that you should do, and now we are going towards kind of a reviewer or a team perspective. So establish some team-wide perspective. It's like 101, create a PR template. Have a PR template, and whatever things we discussed, just put it down in a template that, hey, whoever sends the PR, they will have to do all these things. They have to say, hey, I've written the unit test, I've checked the coverage, I've added the screenshots. Have that kind of a template for your project, whatever works for you. And if you want inspiration, you can pick any open source project and just see. Most open source projects have good templates. You can just copy it from there and improvise. Make use of automation as much as possible, and let reviewers do what requires actual human intelligence. So what do I mean by automations and what not to make reviewers do? Formatting and linting, right? This is something that you people should never have a comment on that. Like tabs versus spaces, 2 spaces, 4 spaces, like that should never be a point of discussion. Just choose one and go with it, right? And let linter enforce it. You don't need to enforce it. Linter will enforce that. Engineering style guides. Like what I see is, especially when new people join the team, they don't know which styling library to use. Are we using style components? Are we using SAS library? What are we using, right? If I have to make an API call, how do I make an API call? Am I using some helper library like Axios? Or I'm using a fetch? Or we have an internal wrapper? So all that needs to be documented so that, whenever a person comes, he has that, ready. That, hey, these are the things that we follow. And these are obviously opinionated things. These might not be the best, but sometimes, having the consistency in code is better than having the best thing out there. It's better to have consistency. So just agree on that and have that written in an engineering style guide. Static typing, TypeScript, I think everybody knows. There are some other static typing libraries as well. Use one, it will make your life easy. Unit test and integration tests. I cannot, be more thankful that, in my team, we have, that culture of having, mandatory unit test and integration tests. And it really helps because when I joined my company, I got to know that, hey, there are no testers or QA engineers in our company. Like, how will we release features without, testers? And then we got to know that, hey, this is a different way of working. So when an engineer works on a feature, at our company, he's responsible for releasing it, taking it to the production end to end. There are no QAs, there is no testers, nothing. If the bug happens, it will be directly on you. So unit test and integration test are what actually helps us to scale it in a way that we don't actually get into these problems. So because we don't have a QA, we have that offset that hey, we have integration, solid integration and unit test in place, and we keep on updating them with each PR. So that really helps us. Now, leaving the PR author perspective aside, we'll jump into the PR reviewer side. If you are into the PR reviewer shoes, what you should do? So, and the word to note here is empathy. This is something which, when we wear those shoes or that hat, this suddenly goes out of the room. So that is the most important word here. You should not be like this, right? So, firstly, what you need to do is, have an open mind and leave your ego at the door. You are now a PR reviewer, but again, you are a PR author as well, and you will be tomorrow again. So leave your ego behind. And what you can do is understand that it's about the code and not about the person. A person might be my friend, or I don't like that person, But when you're reviewing the PR, you're not reviewing the person, you're reviewing the code. So you need to focus only on that aspect. You actually need to, have that bifurcation. I don't care who wrote this code, but I'm just reviewing this code. At the same time, you need to be empathetic that it's written by a human. Not by a friend or enemy, but a human. That is super important. Assume the best intention. If you think of it, कोई भी ऑफिस नहीं जाता है सोच के आज बहुत गंदा काम करूंगा. कोई नहीं जाता है. हर कोई ऑफिस आता है अच्छा काम करने के लिए. तो assume that they have a good intention. Don't have that prejudice in your mind कि नहीं ये तो काम गंदा ही करेगा, right? Assume that the author knows what he is doing. He has been given a task. He has been trusted with that task. Assume that he knows what he is doing. And finally, know that you and the PR author from this point on has a shared responsibility. It's not just PR author's responsibility, whatever code is getting checked in, going into the production. It's not just his responsibility, it is also the responsibility of the reviewer that, hey, I am giving my stamp that this looks good to me, right? You put that, you approve that. So it is a shared responsibility. So have that mindset at the back of your mind. Use we instead of you. This looks like a very small thing. Hey, what do we mean? But this works wonders. So let's say I have a comment. Why did you remove this check? Innocent looking comment, right? But now this is somehow I'm putting a question on the author. Hey, why did you remove this check? Because we are working in an async, people can't understand what's my tone. If I'm the friend of PR author, it could be, hey, why did you remove this? Versus if I'm like, that angry guy, hey, why did you remove this check? So you don't know which tone people are actually working in. So instead of you replace it with we. Why are we removing this check? Now what this does is that once you change it to why are we removing this check, it opens a line of communication. That we are working on this collectively, and let's discuss why are we removing this check. Secondly, aim to improve code quality by a letter grade. This I found out, again, while doing mistakes, I found out about this in a very good article, how to review code, and this goes like this. Whenever you get a PR, like don't actually put a grade there, but just bifurcate into, hey, what grade would you give? Is it a A? Is it like excellent code and it can just go to the production, or is it like functionality is incorrect? It is so bad that we can't work with this. So have your own metrics and grade it in a way, but don't write that on the PR. And this helps people which have a problem of perfectionist, that they want the code to be perfect. Wait, 24 karat gold, right? So if you want to fight that 24 karat gold wala tendency, what you can do is, instead of, let's say you got the code at level D, the grade was D, the quality was bad. Don't try to bring it up to A. If you try to bring it up to A, it will be too much back and forth. There's a big gap, right? Instead of that, try to bring it up to C or B. For this time, try to bring it up to C or B. What you'll notice is, over time, the people will start raising PRs which are up to C and B. You will see your team, actually improving, but without, getting into that 24-carat perfectionist wala zone. So this is a really good thought process to have when you are reviewing the PRs. And I personally have been following this from last 6 months, and it's doing wonders. So in summary, continuous improvement is better than delayed perfection. That is what that that later grading helps you out. Next point, offer actionable feedback. So what do I mean by that? Have you seen this kind of comment? This is super slow. Right? This is super slow. People like to write, how will this scale? Like, people just sometimes love to write those kind of comments. But these are not helpful because they are not actionable. What do you really mean by this is super slow? Right? What if I change it to, hey, the time complexity of this is currently n squared. Can we use this to do it in order of n? Something like this. Give an actionable feedback that, hey, this is in terms of metrics, in terms of number, this is how it's looking. Can we improve it like if we do this? Another comment, naming convention, question mark. I've got this comment personally. So just people will just write naming comment, question mark. This is plain outright rude comment that, hey, you missed such a small thing. Instead of this, be empathetic. Just say, hey, since this is a constant, as per the naming convention we follow, would it be better to rename this to caps? So you see, it will take you just 10 seconds more to write this comment, but it will actually help you improve your relations with the PR author. And what you will notice is that maybe you will start doing it from today, but your team will also start reciprocating these kind of things. They will start noticing that change, and they will also start doing it. Because it's how you build a culture in the team. It's not just about going in with that, but these are all the small things that build that culture. Be generous with code examples. Let's say I have this code where I'm checking status code equal to 400, 401, or 500. So I could say use includes, or what I can do is I can actually have a code example. Now this helps in two ways. One is that let's say the person doesn't really get, hey, what does this guy mean by use includes, right? Now, while checking and watching this code, he can very well be clear that, hey, okay, this is what the PR author is referring to. That is number one. And number two, they can actually just commit this suggestion right now. They can just click on the commit suggestion button, and they are just done with it. So this helps that dual purpose, and I will highly encourage everybody to use as many suggestions as you can, and GitHub is always already providing you with the functionality. Try to phrase your comments as questions, suggestions, and not as command. Again, this is asynchronously you are reviewing PRs, sending the PRs. So the tone, it's very hard to understand the tone. So you need to have your as less as commands and more of questions or suggestions. For example, move this function to a util file. Now this looks like a command. Hey, move this. Instead, if I reword it, would it be cleaner if we move this to a util file? Now this again opens a line of communication. Now the person will be very well motivated. Hey, even if I don't agree to it, I can just comment below, yeah, no, it will not be cleaner. This is the challenge, or this is the scope of it. So they have that line of communication without you, being very authoritative in that way. Another example, not using Lodash function. Instead of that, I can say, hey, for my knowledge, I was wondering, why did we write a custom implementation here instead of using a Lodash function? Again, it opens a line of communication. It helps the PR author reply to you, and this is where the real learning happens. What is your thought process while writing this code? We are assuming best intentions, right? So you have to assume those best intentions and word your comments in a way that people know that, hey, this guy is trusting me, but he has that doubt, and maybe, the PR reviewer will also learn a few things from the reviewing the PR. The next one is offer positive feedback. To this day, I struggle with this. Uh, some time back, I made a rule. I'll have at least one positive comment per PR. Still struggling, to be fair. So this is straightforward. Comments like, "Whoa, I did not know we could do this in JavaScript. Learned something new today," or "Amazing. The code flow looks so straightforward after these changes." So these kind of positive comments, actually you should leave. I mean, instead of just doing a "looks good to me" and merge CPR, leave these kind of comments. This actually, helps improve the morale of the team. And again, it loops back to that culture. You set a culture of appreciation. You are appreciating each other, and this really goes a long way. And as I mentioned before, know when to take the discussion offline. This is the same thing. As an PR reviewer, you should know when to take the discussion offline and be a bigger man. Just ping the guy, hey, let's get into a huddle. Let's get into a 5-minute call and discuss this. I think we have a difference in opinion. Let's close on that. So to recap, have an open mind and leave your ego at the door. Use we instead of you. Aim to improve code quality by a letter grade, so from D to B. Offer actionable feedback. Be generous with your code examples. Try to phrase your comments as questions, suggestions, and not as command. And finally, offer positive feedback. Yeah, know when to take the discussion offline. So yeah, that is all I had today. I think you people learned something about it. We have some time. If anybody has any questions, I think I can take those questions up now. Yeah. Can we pass the mic to him?
Hey Harshit, any automation tool which you mostly practice while doing the PR review?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Any automated PR check tools or any open source tools that you use mostly for PR review?
You mean on the CI pipeline or?
Yeah, CI pipelines or something like that.
No, so we use basic linters and everything. Nothing fancy there, but mostly I mean, it will be very team specific, technology specific. But just think about it. Hey, what is it that is getting very repeated? Just find something like open source community is very, very, very. They have a lot of tools which we generally don't get to know about it. So just search. If something is getting repeated, put it on the CI pipeline if we can do it. And I mean, with ChatGPT, I think the first level of review can actually be done by the ChatGPT itself. So find out those tools and just use it. I mean, we use very minimal tools here, so nothing specific.
All right, thanks.
Anyone else?
Do we know how to handle a situation when we have lots of things we need to do and still the PR review is pending, and without the PR review it can't get merged and it's very important. So in that situation, I think we have to do faster. But how to handle that situation?
Got it. So we do encounter such situations where sometimes some changes are P0. Hey, I need to send this today. This is a very important. Something is breaking on production. So what we do generally is we kind of start writing, hey, need express approval on this PR. And we have that understanding within the team that, hey, if somebody is saying he needs an express approval, and you write, why do you need an express approval? Hey, this is breaking on production, or this needs to go into production today, right? So have that reasoning of why this is P0, and then that understanding needs to be built in the team that, okay, let's prioritize this over whatever we are doing right now.
Okay.
And still, I mean, a lot of time it won't work, right? And that is when you escalate. So escalate generally have that negative connotation to it, but sometimes you need that escalation. So if your PR is still stuck, talk to your manager. Hey, I need this review, but everybody is busy. Can you help me out? So just a word from manager sometimes really helps.
Oh, yeah. Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah.
Hello. So my question is like in like lots of PR, like we are able to see like there are like 90 to 60 files that have been changed. Okay, and we are not able to track even like okay which file initially they have changed and then they are moving to another one and then they are moving to another one. So I've been into like lots of team and it happens with me when I'm reviewing the PR like okay, this is the function that they are changing and they are moving to another one and they are moving to another one. How do we make sure that our team would be able to understand the correct procedure of like atomic structure that you told? How do we ask them to like, okay, please try to follow this structure? Because lots of time like we get heat from the team. Like this is not the right way. We are doing the correct way. You are telling something wrong. So how do we handle that?
I think it's it's like it has multiple solutions. Sometimes some work, sometimes other. One thing is that breaking a PR into multiple PRs is something which doesn't come naturally. What comes naturally is, hey, I have been given this task. Let me finish this in totality, and then I'll send the PR for review. And planning it beforehand, how do I break it? It takes some practice, and it also takes somebody to actually be that champion of doing it the first time. So probably to start with, you can do yourself. Hey, whatever, let's say I did today, I can make it in a way that it can be raised as a PR, it can be reviewed, and then it can be, why not sent into the production? I'll go one step forward. So think about feature flags or kill switches. So just have that hidden behind a feature flag. Maybe the feature is not completed, just 10% of the feature, but have that toggle property. Let's say it's off for now, just setting it with false, and then you raise a PR. So it is actually kind of showcasing that thing for the first time, and then people will see, hey, it's making everybody's life easy. If I take a personal example, in my team, I think in last 1 month, my team is like 9 folks, 9 front-end folks, and we merged 150 PRs in last 1 month. And how we are able to do is that everybody now knows, hey, to get this PR reviewed, we need to have very small PRs, and they know how to scope it into small PRs. But that never happened on the day one. When people joined, they first of all used to raise big PRs, and then we had to sit down and say, hey, if you are building this feature, why don't you just do the UI part? Let's just put a button there. On the click, nothing happens, but let's just put a button and hide it behind a feature flag. In the next PR, you actually connect it to an event handler. You do all the state management stuff. Then maybe in the next PR, you do the API calling. So you have to kind of sit with the team, make them understand that, hey, this is how we can break it up. And you don't really need to stop after raising the PR. You raise one PR, it is up for review. You start working on the next PR on top of that. So there will be times when you have multiple PRs on top of each other, and that is totally fine, right?
And there is one more thing. Like I have also seen like in like say if we divide like smaller chunks of PR, so people write like 5 comments, 6 comments in a smaller chunks. So what would be like an ideal range of comments onto those PR?
So see, that totally depends on the quality of the code and the reviewer. So I can't really recommend a number of comments, and there should not be a guideline according to me for that. It should be, the PR author should be empowered that, hey, whatever things you see which are important, that can be fixed, that can be improved, you just write it down. But one best practice that I follow right now is, see what are the comments which are blocking versus which are not blocking. So if anything is not blocking, I'll just add a word nitpick behind it. So this is a nitpick. Even if you don't solve it in this PR, I'm okay with it. Or I'll explicitly, sometimes I'm suggesting some refactoring, but I'll say can be taken up in next PR. I just start my comment with that. So they know that, hey, I'm not blocking his PR. I'll only block the PR only if it's letter grade D. I can't let the letter grade D PR get merged. But if it's B or A, it's not breaking anything, I can let it merge. So from that perspective, whatever you deem fit, like we don't have to be scared of so many comments. It's just about which are the blockers, and we work our way around that.
Because like there is a like lots of time like we have to sit with the team members and we have to tell them like okay you are having like this big feature divide into small chunks. create like small things, and then you can move around. If you are having completing this work, then you
Exactly.
go for this work, and then you go for this work. Yeah. So thank you for that.
Cool. Thank you. I think we have run out of time. So if you have any questions, I'm still here. You can connect with me offline, or you can connect me on Twitter or LinkedIn. I'm available everywhere. Thank you so much.